Well, CNN News 18 gets you this mega exclusive. Let's decode how false information is clearly spoiling the relationship between two countries. An insider explains that Trudeau, that propaganda and that entire propaganda that has been put out by Canada is likely to backfire. Canadian intelligence agencies are feeding him all the wrong information because they have hired radical agents on the ground. These agents hired by, by the intelligence agencies are feeding certain information which are backed by the Khalistani groups. These agents are Khalistanis which have been hired by CSIS top bosses. On the basis of this information, they have prepared reports, and it seems that Justin Trudeau is misinformed. I want to cut across to my colleague Anand Narasimhan as well to give more perspective on the story. Anand, over to you. What is the detail?
Well, our group editor security Manoj Gupta getting us these inputs that have come in from an insider who's now revealing what's actually happening in Canada. Now, this entire propaganda will backfire because it's all false. It's got no legs is the understanding. And what's happening is that the Canadian intelligence agency CSIS is feeding Justin Trudeau and his entire government wrong information because they have hired radical agents on ground. These radical agents are all those who are secessionists, who are all part of this entire K gang, where we have exposed them oftentimes in the past. In fact, for about the last 5 to 6 years, CNN News 18 has been at the forefront of exposing these groups. We'll get to that in a bit, but coming back to the CSIS issues, the agents are actually Khalistani hired by CSIS top bosses, and on the basis of these information, the CSIS is preparing reports which is being fed to the Trudeau administration. Trudeau has currently he's facing a lot of flack. His entire popularity or approval ratings are dipping by the minute, and he is under a lot of pressure. He's also unable to devote much time to official work due to his also personal family problems and other issues, other personal issues. But more importantly, there are serious K sympathizers, secessionist sympathizers who are also openly allowing agents who are calling for balkanization of Bharat and giving them a free run. And these people are also political allies. We are given to understand that there are people, elements who with clear Khalistani intent who are actually blackmailing Justin Trudeau and the administration. That's what the insider is revealing. We are only putting out what the insider is claiming. That there is also allegation of being involved in a corruption scam where he's got commission in fundraising and his family was involved. In fact, a lot of leaders in his government, we are not taking those names, but there are 3 or 4 people within his administration who are also Khalistani sympathizers. Also, the allegation is, and the insider is revealing, and this is the claim of the insider which we are putting out here at CNN News 18, that CSIS is known for clearing and cover up all evidence in case of any state crime because they are all done by these K-linked groups. The Air India blast where 329 people died, the CSIS actually cleared all the audio recordings, and similarly, Tara Singh was also killed by bullets. So this case is not just identified because the investigator was Sikh and his father involved with the International Sikh Federation. So all cases, everything is being covered up because of the sympathy and sympathizers as far as the Khalistan movement is concerned, the secessionist movement is concerned, or those openly claiming for the balkanization of Bharat. Why is it otherwise that terrorists responsible for bombings are the ones who are getting a safe shelter there? So clearly these Khalistani could come clean on the murder of Ripudaman Singh. He was killed by Nijjar and Punnu and through a third party is the allegation, and this is what the insider is revealing to CNN News 18's group editor security. So plenty of allegations here, and perhaps the Trudeau administration is being led down the garden path, and somewhere history repeats itself because Justin Trudeau's father ignored intelligence inputs as far as the Kanishk bombings are concerned and the loss of lives that happened. Had the Canadian authorities responded to Indian intelligence inputs, perhaps that could have been averted, but that time it was ignored, and 3 decades later we are just seeing perhaps history repeat itself. That's what the insider is revealing.
Anand Narasimhan getting us all the details. Anand, please stay with us on the broadcast. There are some more details which are emerging. CNN News 18 gets you some more images, and this is from 2017. Nijjar, the terrorist in question, around whom there have been these allegations that India was in some way involved in his killing. He's a designated terrorist by India and has been on the red list. He's seen with this AK-47 in Canada. CNN News 18 has accessed this video back of 2017. And this video has been accessed via certain highly placed intelligence sources. This video reveals that Nijjar was not some innocent civilian who was targeted in any manner or form, if at all that allegation is correct in any way. And so far, the Canadian authorities have not put any kind of evidence on the table. Anand continues to be with us on the broadcast. Yes, Anand.
6 years ago, CNN News 18 put out this video and the story. It's still there on the digital footprint. I have a copy of the story which was put out 6 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, where we said that this is Nijjar and this is Canadian soil and he is wielding an AK-47 which is banned in Canada. And he is running a training camp somewhere in the Canadian mountains. We have all the details. This is Nijjar. 6 years ago in February 2017, we put out these pictures. And these pictures prove that Nijjar has been running anti-India activities on Canadian soil. Plus, he's also brazenly flouted Canadian laws because he's using a banned weapon. AK-47 is banned in Canada. He's using this. But what was the Trudeau administration doing over 6 years? Why are they openly coming out to bat for a murderer, for a terrorist, for somebody? There is a red corner notice that's been issued since 2016 and multiple dossiers have been shared with the Canadian intelligence. That's the question. And this was aired in February 2017. This is an authentic video. CNN News 18 accessed this video. We put this out 6 years ago. We are putting out again to say that for 6 long years, if not more, we've been telling the Canadian authorities to act against this terrorist who was proscribed as an individual terrorist in 2020 by the Indian government. Despite that, Justin Trudeau stands to back somebody who's openly flouting Canadian gun laws also. That's the story. Justin Trudeau is backing somebody or standing up for somebody who perhaps has been murdered in an internecine gang war, and he's blaming Indian authorities for a wanted terrorist by India, two friendly democracies, ignoring the red corner notice, the Interpol notice, and also somebody who's brazenly flouted Canadian laws. He's using AK-47, he's training people for firing, and you can see that there are others also who are trying to learn how to fire. These videos have been accessed by CNN News 18. It's part of our archives, and we're just putting it out again to remind everyone that we told you 6 years ago. The Canadian government knew all along. In 2018, Captain Amrinder Singh reminded Justin Trudeau about this man, and nothing was done. So clearly, Justin Trudeau has just stepped on the axe. His foot is on the axe, and he's just going to get politically buried because of what he's allowed, his administration is allowed.
Absolutely. Anand, before we move on to some more developments and some more breaking bit of information, exclusive information that we are going to put out for our viewers, so far from the Canadian administration and the government, there is no evidence on the table that has been put as far as those allegations are concerned. And more importantly, even the opposition in Canada is asking these questions from the present government.
Yes, they are. And this is the, if I can go full frame on this on my phone, see, 27th of February 2017 is when we put out this story. And very clearly it says, and the story highlights that ISI is in touch with Nijjar and is trying to recruit him, and it is trying to send agents and also K-goons for training to Canada. And Nijjar is helping them to work against Bharat's interests. So Canadian soil used by a so-called Canadian citizen who's got this citizenship despite having criminal antecedents and terrorist antecedents, is training terrorists on Canadian soil to act against India's interests at the behest of a sworn enemy, that is Pakistan. This is what Canadian soil was being used for, and this is our story, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. We've got the archives with us, and we are putting out the same footage here. And despite these stories repeatedly being put out, and we have confirmation, and we put out the story that Nijjar actually trained another secessionist goon, a terrorist who tried to come to India and also to try and wreak havoc and create social unrest and create problems and also target innocents. He came with that intent, but he was in time before he could actualize his plans. He was arrested by our authorities. We've put out that story too. So time and again, Hardeep Nijjar and his activities have been highlighted, and the Canadian government under Justin Trudeau has turned a blind eye to it. And today they are standing to defend somebody who's not only a proscribed terrorist by India, wanted, had a red corner notice issued against him and an Interpol notice since 2016, but more importantly, he was brazenly flouting gun laws in Canada, but nothing was done against him.
Nothing was done against him. As Anand points out to that video and the digital footprint, that story that CNN News 18 and News 18 Network had also put out earlier. Anand, let's also talk about the involvement of ISI and various other pro-Pak elements. A lot of funding allegedly to these Khalistani elements is coming via Pakistan. Even internationally, this is something that various investigative journalists have reported, but Canada seems to have done nothing about it.
Yes, time and again we have highlighted that too. Time and again we have done that too. In fact, what has happened is that the ISI is actually funding big time in Canada. We've got those inputs also. Our group editor security, Manoj Kumar Gupta, getting us those details that a lot of leaders in Canada, especially from the KLP or the Khalistani Liberal Party, and also another political outfit called the NDP, are actually being regularly funded by the ISI through its agents in Vancouver. This is the information that we have.
Yes.
They are in the name of immigration, taking money from students and using them for anti-India propaganda. See, the entire modus operandi is to target those youth who are born after 1984, feed them false information and random information, brainwash them and turn them against Bharat. The other aspect is that these are people who are openly calling for the balkanization or the secession of Bharat. Again, targeting the sovereignty of another democracy, a friendly nation to Canada. Under the foreign policy, Justin Trudeau should not have allowed all of this under his terms. He's 2 terms and now he's looking for a 3rd term. And in this case, all this information has been put out and shared with the Canadian authorities. What we are putting out at CNN News 18 has been shared repeatedly with the Canadian authorities and with the Trudeau administration, and he did nothing about it. And even the involvement of ISI agents. Who is behind the killing of a Baloch activist? Why is Justin Trudeau not asking that question? Who is behind the killing of Ripu Daman Singh? Why is Justin Trudeau not asking that question? Why have these sympathies for somebody who's a terrorist, a proscribed terrorist by a friendly democracy, and never facilitate the extradition of Hardeep Nijjar, but silence on Ripu Daman Singh and on the Baloch activist who was found dead recently in Canada?
Anand, when we talk about what Canada has done as a nation so far, you pointed out how Captain Amrinder Singh, when he was the Chief Minister for the state of Punjab, Indian government repeatedly on various occasions has pointed out that this is the problem of growing extremism and the kind of subterfuge these elements are getting. At the outset, we pointed out how the security agencies or the intelligence agencies are some way backed by the Khalistanis and a certain sort of information is being fed to Justin Trudeau. But one can't also deny the reality that his government enjoys the political support of these Khalistani elements, a pro-Khalistani party, and perhaps there is a domestic political incentive for him to take this position.
At the cost of international peace, at the cost of equations with a friendly nation with whom we've got deep ties. Canadian pension funds have deep investments in India. India has trade equations with Canada. Canada is part of a grouping of G20 nations.
Yes.
And it is a signatory on international terrorism. It's a signatory against any form of terrorism or attack on sovereignty of any nation. So if Canada can take a strong moralistic point of view on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, will Justin Trudeau allow the perpetrators of 9/11 a free run as Justin Trudeau's administration is allowing a free run for those who are seeking who are claiming to attack Bharat and who have the antecedents and proof against them that they have been involved on attacks on Indian soil? This is the big question that Justin Trudeau has to answer. Why these differential positions? The other part is Justin Trudeau has never spoken about increasing ISI activity on Canadian soil. Why has he? And despite proof provided to him that there are elements who are using Canadian soil to perpetrate attacks on Bharat, why has he not acted against this? Captain Amrinder Singh had tweeted, and he was not part of the BJP at that time. He was a chief minister. He's the Chief Minister of Punjab at that time in 2018. And Captain Amrinder Singh says the claims by Canadian PM that there was an Indian hand in murder of Hardeep Nijjar are completely baseless and he's only playing to the vote bank gallery. He further said last evening during his visit to Amritsar in 2018, I had brought to the notice of Mr. Justin Trudeau as to how Canadian land was being used against India. And still the Canadian government failed to take any remedial measures so far. A chief minister at that time, perhaps one of the longest serving chief ministers of Punjab, a former soldier, Captain Amrinder Singh has tweeted saying that Justin Trudeau was reminded of this in 2018. In fact, Captain Amrinder Singh refused to meet certain members of his delegation saying they are Khalistanis and we will not meet them, even with that Trudeau entourage. And that was a story also run here on CNN News 18. Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar with us. Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar, this now further complicates issues for Justin Trudeau. He's actually stepped on the axe. That's what he's done by drawing up cudgels in support of a terrorist against Bharat.
Yeah, you're very right. He has really painted himself in a corner. He's put himself in a situation which really is of his own making. And you know what it appears is that his peak at the fact that his visit to India for the G20 was such a disaster, not because of India, because, India extended all the courtesies to him. You would recall that when he was coming for the meeting, how, very correctly and Prime Minister Modi received him and he was extended all the courtesies. But of course, the manner in which he conducted himself, he didn't even come for the dinner. And, this peak seems to have gone to him and got the better of his political judgment that this is not the way to go about it. Just returning from India and then in the special session of the parliament, first thing saying that, pointing fingers at India. And the most important thing, he didn't produce any evidence. You can't do this. You can't say that, that it is credible allegations that are there. Either you have a credible evidence or there are allegations which are not substantiated.
But Ambassador Sajjanhar, we have credible evidence that this man, a terrorist in 2017, was brazenly flouting the gun laws of Canada. He was running training camps in the Canadian mountains with AK-47s. We have video proof. February 27, 2017, we put out this video. Trudeau administration was in power at that time. What did he do?
No, you're very right. I fully, ascribe to this, that he should have taken cognizance of what India was telling him, that, they are giving this much of space to these Khalistanis, to the terrorists who have cases against them. And look at even the name of the organization that he was heading. What is it? Khalistani force or something, and the logo of that also, meaning that itself suggests that this is a person who is into violence, who is and his objective was to break up India, to secede from India. And the foreign minister of Canada says that we have an international security crisis as a result of the death of this person. I have been, Anand, I can tell you, to many countries where there are these huge gurdwaras, and there is an internecine gang warfare that is going on in these gurdwaras. They are sort of, many of them, they unfortunately become the den of human trafficking, of drug trafficking, etc. So his killing, he needs to go down into, who are the people who are really responsible for this, rather than pointing fingers at India. India is the victim of all these things from across our border. We have never, it's the largest democracy. We go by democratic principles. We never go to other countries, and I think it's a great pity that in his total lack of judgment, he has tried to put India in the same category as Iran and Pakistan and China and North Korea, who go out of their country to bump off their dissidents. I mean, this is totally uncalled for, and he, as I said right at the beginning, he has painted himself in a corner. It will be very difficult for him to get out of it. India is not going to sort of, give him any space on that.
Absolutely, Mr. Sajjanhar. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your perspective. My colleague Anand Narasimhan continues to stay with us. Some more information that we are putting out.